I have some friends in the industry that are the ultimate ninjas in the mortgage and banking industry for technology. And within 6 months, we're going to have these loans on blockchain.
Oh, fantastic. Wow, that's cool.
Wow.
I've heard of that, but I haven't seen it done yet. So that's an exciting development. That's really
So,
cool.
so my man Cade Thompson is going to come lace it up at NoteExpo of what
Oh.
that looks like, and
Very
something
cool.
that they are
Ooh.
doing in the mortgage industry right now.
Very cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
So its potential of revolutionizing the business is just
Hmm.
beyond any scope you can imagine.
And it needs. Welcome back to another Real Estate Note Show. Alongside me, as always, Mr. Nathan Turner. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for today's talk. So this is going to be good.
Oh, this is something that we look forward to every year. This conversation with these guests. Listen, if you know anything about notes, these guests are the kings in this, right? And they're the kings
Yeah.
for a good reason. So we're gonna skip all the banter and cut out all the mumbo because we have a lot of stuff to get to today. So welcome to
Yeah.
the show once again, Martha and Eddie Speed. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Wow. So let's
So
get
good to see you
started.
guys.
Yeah, you guys, we're saying before we start recording, you guys don't age. It is amazing. When I met you guys years ago, it's awesome to see you guys still healthy, looking great, and have energy that I'm jealous of. So,
Thank you.
I'm thinking back. I say this to people all the time, but Eddie's course was the very first one I took back in 2009, and like that was the launch pad. That's what got me into understanding what notes were. I was creating notes, but I didn't know what I was doing until I took Eddie's class, and then that helped me understand how to do it better. And it really just took off from there.
yeah. And for me,
Okay.
the first time I went down there, I had a friend we all know. I went down for the first time, like traveling to a conference, and I was overwhelmed. I was. And then by about an hour into it, it was talking to everyone. It was amazing. It was
Yeah.
so surprising. And I think that is something people miss out on when they don't know what's out there. So,
Yeah.
Eddie and Martha, give us a little bit of background for those who are crazy enough not to know you. How did you get started in this space?
Well, Martha and I have now been married 43 years. So
Wow.
I started about 45 years ago. Martha and I were friends. We weren't really dating then, but we were friends. And Sunday afternoon, I go to her house and I meet her dad, who was one of the pioneers of the note business, seller finance note business overall. And he starts explaining to me this idea of being the bank, and what that meant and stuff. And I would say 45 years later, I turned out he was right.
What do you know?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, we can appreciate both your knowledge. You know, you guys both have keys to the space that is unmatched. So, high five for your great work and giving back to the community, which you guys do
Hmm.
immensely. So, uh, one thing that comes up over and over again when you look up anything to do with notes is a lot of your conversations with people. And from YouTube to podcasts, everything else, you're known around the space. What do you think you're best known for in the note space?
I would say two things. I would say that, I've bought 50,000 seller finance notes. And so I think people are in quandary of how you scale that because most people haven't scaled it. And I
Hmm.
would say the second thing is the go-to, which is partials.
Hmm.
Now they're on YouTube now. There's a lot of people claim that they started partials.
So,
They didn't.
it,
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I was working for my dad when I was 17 years old, right out of high school. And that's what I did. I helped them with documentation to sell partials. Yeah. Yeah.
and for those who don't know what
Ah,
parcels are, is it complicated? Is that something a newbie should avoid?
It's not complicated. It's really simple. It's a really simple transaction. I think it's just a matter of learning the documentation and just learning what you're doing, like anything else. And there's a process to it, and it makes it quite easy. And you just gotta. It depends, who you're working with too.
sure.
So I work with passive investors, and that makes it a little bit different. So. Um, Eddie kind of does it on a little more commercial scale like my dad did. So
I think the key thing with partials is you do have to understand you're probably not going to get this information on Facebook or um, we're all familiar with Facebook law, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a degree you get, Nathan. It's a Facebook law degree. It's not a real law degree, but it's Facebook. The biggest thing with partials is it could bleed over into something that's a securities issue,
Mhm.
right? And you have to make sure that you have the right kind of documentation and the right kind of clarity as to the fact that of how the transaction is structured. And the
Mhm.
biggest thing that I always kind of worry about is I see these people posting, oh, I do partials and I do this and that. And I'm thinking, well, either you stole our agreement
Mhm.
or I'm not sure what agreement you're using because otherwise I'm not really sure that it might be papered right. So that's a little bit of a caution flag, and it's not meant to say like only us can do it, but it does mean that, it's a little bit like a driver's license. You kind of need a driver's license to go drive a car on the highway.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a right way to do it. And that is such a key part of this whole business. And we're seeing that more and more these days with inventive strategies and things, which can be great, but again, it has to be done correctly. There's a right way to do it, and there's certainly a wrong way to do it. So make sure you understand the difference and then do it the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, partials is a great way to get into this space. To just get your hands dirty without having to deal with, all this stuff of, a non-performing note and things like that. Can it go bad? It can. But I often feel that partial is a great way for someone to get started if they want to get started in the space as an active investor. Would you agree with that?
I would say 15 years ago, there was some people buying non-performing seconds, right? And that was kind of a wave. There was a big wave out in California. There was kind of a wave up in your neck of the woods, David.
Mm-hmm.
And I would meet people that literally couldn't spell no. They didn't know anything about the business. They servicer oversight or foreclosure management or any of those terms was like wouldn't register. It wasn't on their page. And then I would go ask them what they were trying to go start with, and they'd say non-performing seconds. And I'd be like, oh
Hmm. Hmm.
gosh, that's like taking driving lessons in a NASCAR,
Yeah.
you know?
that's a difficult one. That's a lot of
And
work.
so I would say, first of all, I think that the non-performing, the non-performing is coming right now. The inventory's thin,
Yeah.
and I know there's a lot of Facebook cowboys that say this stuff, but I'm fairly connected in the business, as you guys know, and it just ain't hit yet. It just the inventory of non-performing hasn't really hit. I'm not saying there's not any, but
Hmm.
it's pretty thin. And so it's not lucrative enough for an amateur to get in it and go make mistakes.
Hmm.
Well said.
There's a spot where you could just kind of, not do it great, but you bought it so cheap the market would just take care of you.
That's where we started.
That's exactly where we
So
started, right?
the truth of the matter is, right now, I think the market is tight. There are people probably overpaying. And I think performing notes is the path. And secondly, I think performing notes is the path. And partials are what allow you to do a bunch of deals because otherwise you just run out of money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Partial is a liquidity structure. It's what if you fund 100 grand or 200 grand, how can you get a good bit of your money back? And a partial is a way to go do that.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
does let you recoup part of your acquisition cost in the note. So it gives them an easy access into getting into the note business if they don't have the cash just to buy and hold, right?
Yeah.
Martha did it for us and our family because we'd done 20,000 partials before we started doing it in our retirement account. So we knew this transaction like the back of our hand. But Martha did it because we started out with less than $50,000 in a Roth IRA account. And we started out with about $2,000 in our kids' Roth IRA accounts. So
Hmm.
how do you take a little bit of money and work it really hard? Partials.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well
And
said.
that being said, like it's a definitely a lower barrier to entry. However, you have to learn the rules. You have to learn how it's done because again, you can't just like walk straight into it. There's rules around it. You have to understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and all of the paperwork structure, what that should look like. All of those things are really important. So it's
Right.
paramount. Anybody who's coming over from any other business that's coming into notes, get some education from somebody. And you guys have Note School, which is a great
Yeah.
option. So get some education. Make sure you understand what you're getting into.
And to
Right.
double down on that, right? Education and networking, right? It-
Yeah.
Nathan and I talk about this on the show all the time, guys. There's second to none in this space is networking and connecting with others. You can do 50,000 deals or do one, and unique situations come out of everyone's deals. So
Mhm.
talking, communicating, get together with people who are doing this on a regular basis is the keys to success in any business,
Mhm.
right? That's the goal here. And we talk about on our show all the time is that the network, your net worth is your network. Make your network work for you. And a phone call is wonderful, Zoom is wonderful, but shaking someone's hands and sitting down over a meal or just talking changes everything.
Mhm.
Well, it changes the probably the most important thing, right? If people say, what does relationships mean or networking or having other people in the business? And the answer is it was kind of what we are all talking about before we just started filming this, right?
Yeah.
It's confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence
Mhm.
in any business is the most important ingredient.
Mm,
Now, you may be confident about something that you're wrong about,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
That's being not informed well, which connections are what help fix that. Or it's confidence that the market is right and you can go do something. So relationships and networking and interacting with other people in the business, you get a sense of what's working.
mm.
And that is what gives you confidence.
Yep. Yep.
That's well said. Well said. So, what are some of the ways that when you first got started with very little people around you, how did you start networking and did you do anything to fix that problem if it was a problem?
Well, I started so doggone early, there was no networking. I started in 1980, and
Mhm.
I think the first trade show I probably went to was around 1990. Now they'd started some in the mid 80s and so forth, and so we felt like we were on an island. Most
Mm,
of the things that we had tested, and I developed a couple of things that kind of became the way the business was done back then, but I also tested 98 other things that didn't work,
Mhm.
right? And we didn't have anybody to bounce anything off of and whatever. So I became very excited, probably in 1990 or so when I went to my first trade show and because of the networking and the interfacing with other people in the business. And it's nothing to say other than the fact that I'm in three real estate masterminds today that are probably the top 500 house buyers in the business. And I
Mhm.
do that for the same thing. I do business with those people, but I interface and understand their market and their conditions and their circumstances, and that tells me how to guide my business. So it's all community is everything.
yeah.
And our note industry has um, it doesn't have a whole lot of places to have that community, quite
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. So, what'd you do about that
Yeah, that's
problem?
right.
What did you do? How'd you solve that problem? Because you've solved a lot of problems, right? So, what did you do about that problem?
Well, it's funny for me. Like my journey. So about 1990, I set up the note system for home investors. Ken D'Angelo and I, guy founded Home Investors, super smart cat, great guy. And I saw that he had all these franchisees. So he was training them a path to go do the business, a proven strategy. So they didn't have to go try 20 different things, go
Mhm.
do this, go do it this way. Everybody's seen the ugly house billboards and all that stuff, which came out of Ken's mind. And I got to hang around all that. And I realized, 10 years later, by 2000, if I had a community, if I had an environment, if I had something that I'd already, had that I had all that history of 20 years, and if I could give somebody a compression of time and melt it down to do it this way, try it this way, then all of a sudden, then I could just shorten their steps to go become successful.
Mhm.
And once again, all the things that you're saying, just the feeding off each other and
Mm,
connectivity. and knowing, just a blueprint to go do the business. What's that look like? So that was my vision. That's what got me started in forming a school 25 years ago. And then, here I am 10 years after that or so, I'm down to I'm looking at a trade show. Now, Nathan, you've got a wonderful trade show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But 10 years ago, there was not another competitor in the business that
Mhm.
was
Right.
legitimately in the business that had a trade show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all promoters of something. And
Yep.
they weren't, I'd look up and I'm like, oh my God, that guy's out of prison. They've got him on stage now, and it'd be like that kind of thing. Not all the time, but I did see that, by the way.
Yeah. But
And
you
and
so
so
note
so that's really what led me to the idea of always had this heart for community.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you created a trade show that, bar none, is one of the most sophisticated out there, complex but also very simple, with a mindset of community, right? Networking, shaking hands with everyone in the circle from beginning to the most advanced people. And being in a room full of that kind of thing for me as a beginner was quite overwhelming, but the welcoming created a different atmosphere. It allowed me to feel that I can go shake Eddie Speed's hand and realize that he's a real person. And I think for most people, they get intimidated by that stuff until they get to sit down and talk to people. Um, when you started this, what was the first event like?
Hmm. Well, we had a coaching program, and we used to invite our students once a year to come hang out with us and just put love on them, right? Just
Yeah.
have something special and special speakers and special opportunities. And we said, if we have an audience that's already here, what if we were just open arms and said, let's just go invite people that are in the industry that may be our competition, that may be whatever, right?
Mhm.
And let's just go bring them in and let's do something that's a go-giver for the industry. That was our original intent,
Hmm.
is to get, and so that's where we kind of started. And once again, the market's changed a lot. So every year's been, the theme and the focus has been very different depending on circumstances. I love the theme of NoteExpo this year, which is um, be the bank.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
if you really look at, what Martha's kind of become well known for in the industry is how to go take her mother's retirement account and Martha and I's retirement account, our three kids' retirement accounts, and now our five grandkids, maybe Coverdale educational accounts or other things. And like, how do you spider web that into a family legacy? And so our family legacy is designed around using notes as being the bank. That's 100% of what she's done.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. It can be done. It's kind of trickled down from my mom and dad, and then so we've been able just to carry that on and teach other people how to do it.
Wow.
And so I think that's one of the things that's so nice about it is that people can see how to create that in a
Hmm.
way they've never been able to see it before,
And
and
talk
how
about a
how it
legacy.
benefits so many generations.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fabulous how it benefits so many different generations. So we think that that's one thing that's really awesome. And not
Yeah.
just that, just, like you're saying, interacting with everybody, whether it's servicers, we have so many different people there that you actually get to meet in person
Yeah.
and
Right.
talk to.
That makes such a difference. And talk about a legacy where you're passing on not just, a retirement account or a fund or something like that. You're passing on that knowledge so that they can then take that and then build on it and continue on. And
Right. And I
that's
think that's so
priceless.
important, Nathan, because you said the right thing because, we're not giving it to our kids, right?
Right.
We're not
Mm.
just giving money to our kids. We're giving them the knowledge to carry on what we do.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
in the business with us. It's their account, so they have to be active about what we're doing. And so they're learning the business, and they've been doing that for a long time since they were quite young teenagers. But now they're actually on their own, right? They can go buy a loan, they can get it set up with the servicer, they can do all those things on their own.
Yeah.
But they understand the structure of what we've done. And if something happens, it can take it over and they can run with it.
I think
And so,
legacy I think legacy to means that you're not hitting the reset button, right?
right.
Starting back over is what you don't want the kids to do, and you're just take it off and continue to run what you guys have already built, which is fabulous.
Well,
Yeah, it
the
is.
the thing there's a key thing that we have talked about, Martha and I have talked about a lot. in legacy, and that is, do you have an inheritable business?
Mm.
Mm.
And I know 10,000 landlords that the day that they, God love them, lay them in the ground, the kids are going to call the realtor on the way back from the cemetery, and say, get rid of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they feel people realize is a rental portfolio is not an inheritable business. But I
Wow.
will say over my years, and I've now coached close to 3,000 people. I've had two people that wanted me to help liquidate a loan portfolio after the person that we trained died. Two.
Hmm.
And I've had a bunch of people die of, you can imagine, because more likely than not, somebody that joined our coaching program, might have been, a little old. They weren't in their
Yep.
20s necessarily, although we do a good job with that. But the point is, we've had people age out and die, and life happens, and accidents and whatever, and they don't want to go sell the portfolio because they don't need to.
Correct.
Right.
And so Martha and Wood, our middle son Wood, who works with Colonial in the due diligence side of the business and evaluation and pricing loans and evaluating what's a good deal. Martha and Wood are going to present at NoteExpo this year of this generational step down.
Wow.
Hmm. That's awesome.
That, I mean,
Man, that's really
no
cool.
one's, it's something that none of us have the opportunity to do yet. Our kids are young, but
Yeah.
it's definitely education that we all have to focus on. I think that's amazing. That is amazing.
Well, we've placed a lot of emphasis on the fact we've not given our kids a big check
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And our kids are in, average in their 30s, right? And so it's not like we've dropped $200,000 in their checking account, but we have helped them get into the business and learn the business. And we think that is way bigger than giving somebody a check. And
Agreed.
so that's kind of we think that what we've done is not magic, but we think a lot of people are interested in how we've done it, and that's kind of why we're
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just
that's
want them
awesome.
to have the knowledge to go reinvest the money.
That's worth more than the money itself.
That's worth more than the money itself. If they have the knowledge and wisdom to go reinvest it and just keep it going. And so that's the most important.
Rockefellers, right? That's the whole Rockefeller method. Just keep reinvesting it.
Mhm.
So what else can we expect at this year's Note Expo?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think the changes in the business this year are the biggest changes that we've seen in a really long time.
Mm.
And I've been working on this kind of industry thesis, so to speak, for call it a year and a half, which is basically that rentals aren't making money.
Mhm.
And so we're going back to kind of old school, like I did for home investors, where we really created a complete note manufacturing system.
Mhm.
Like everything from how do you sell it? Who do you sell it to? How do you structure the sale? How do you do that? What is underwriting that is acceptable? And vendors to do all of those things for you. And that's now kind of where we're at, what we call stage one,
Mhm.
is that we now have it in place where we can take a landlord that has 1 or 500 rentals and help them transition and get and net 2.5 times the income they're netting with their rentals today, legitimately,
Mhm.
right? And so they're going from a rental property to a seller finance model, and there's a discipline to it, and there's a reason for the discipline. Today, I can help them go exit immediately and sell part of their cash flow.
Wow.
They're getting $2,000 a month. I can help them sell $1,000 a month, or I
Right.
can help them sell $1,500 a month, which gives them liquidity to go pay off their underlying mortgage or go do their next deal or whatever. But what you're going to find out at Note Expo is through some of my friends in the business. I wouldn't take credit for it, but I just grateful I have brilliant friends.
Mhm.
I have some friends in the industry that are the ultimate ninjas in the mortgage and banking industry for technology. And within 6 months, we're going to have these loans on blockchain.
Oh, fantastic. Wow, that's cool.
Wow.
I've heard of that, but I haven't seen it done yet. So that's an exciting development. That's really
So
cool.
So my man Cade Thompson is going to come lace it up at NoteExpo of what
Oh.
that looks like, and
Very
something
cool.
that they are
Oh.
doing in the mortgage industry right now.
Very cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
So its potential of revolutionizing the business is just
Mhm.
beyond any scope you can imagine.
And it desperately
So I mean,
needs.
the seller finance business has been this mom and pop, hand make, one deal, no
Yeah.
secondary market because you did it wrong or you did that. I've seen 45 years, I've seen all the mistakes. And so Cade and I have a kindred spirit from way back. A company he founded, by the way, did 65,000 seller finance transactions. And so we've had a kindred spirit from way back and a heart for like, if you could bring liquidity to the market, you change everything and you change how many people would want to seller finance because they can get to part of their money today and can wait for future profits tomorrow. And it's a lot less trouble. It's like it's virtually hands off at this point. And then all of a sudden you could go offer a fractional interest in a mortgage to somebody with a self-directed retirement account that has $8,000 to invest.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or Nathan, you could go buy a portfolio of notes and put them on blockchain and
Mhm.
use that leveraging technique so you can work your money harder.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So
Wow.
we think
Interesting.
like one thing led to another.
Yeah.
The first thing is the market had to bust wide open.
Mm.
Listen, there's 17 to 20 million rent houses, depending on who you ask.
Sure.
Most landlords are making about a 4% cap rate on their investment.
Oh,
That means
good
for a
Lord.
$200,000 house, you're making $8,000 a year, and that's before you pay the bank.
Mhm.
2018, they were making double the net income. They were making
Wow.
an 8 cap. Now they're making a 4. So the market has changed to where rentals are not a game like they were. So now you have this gigantic market that has opened up that people are wanting to do this. Now catch this news. President Trump signed an executive order in early August where people then can take their 401k money currently. They don't have to leave the company
Mhm.
and invest in alternative investments like
Oh.
notes.
That's huge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
huge.
Oh
So
my
when
goodness.
I told you guys when we were kind of setting this up, I think Note Expo this year has the most lightning bolt information that we've had in years. Now I
Yeah.
hope you get a sense of what that means. I think it's going to be pretty electric.
I'm getting goosebumps
Yeah.
just thinking about everything. I just,
Yeah.
wow.
My wheels are turning. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
that's huge.
That's a lot new, a whole lot,
Yeah. Oh my
new
God.
concepts.
Never. So one of the things we talk about on our show a lot is these rap note sub 2 world. We're to keep this family friendly. What's your input on rap note sub 2 craziness that's out there? And what do you think is going to happen next 5 years with these rap sub 2 stuff?
I did a training for Collective Genius about a month and a half ago. This is the top 500. This is one of the masterminds that has these top 500 house buyers. I did it with Jeff Watson. And we basically said, what are the caution flags with sub twos? And we pretty much said this because of gurus, because of every beginner, house flipper, no training wheels, let's just go straight down the mountain, right?
Mhm.
And what has happened is every loan servicer out there today knows that when they get in the mail a power of attorney and a transfer to a trust, they've got a rubber stamp that says this is sub two.
Yeah.
And Fannie Mae and FHA and those guys have had enough. They've kind of had their finger wagged at long enough, and they have said enough. And I've got inside information and be very sure about this.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying to you that if you think with AI today, Rocktop has AI that can read 200,000 documents an hour.
Mhm.
Okay. If you
Mhm.
think with AI today, they can't go through a complete loan portfolio and identify sub two transactions, you would probably be kidding yourself.
Yep. Yep.
And so
And that's
It
today.
is a breach for a servicer of
Mhm.
a mortgage-backed security. It is a breach of their contract not to identify loans that are in non-monetary default.
Hmm.
It is a
And
breach of that.
what's stopping a bank from calling those loans due? Like, why
Nothing,
would?
nothing.
Yeah.
And so, I'm telling the biggest, baddest house buyers in the business, fellas, we are not in Kansas anymore.
Yep.
Mhm.
And so I'm sure this is going to cause somebody to get their feelings hurt, but I'm telling the truth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what's going to happen to all these investors? There's tens and hundreds of thousands of investors doing this yield play and just doing it wrong. Besides the paperwork, just doing all this stuff. What's going to happen to all these borrowers and all these people who are investing this money into it? What do you think's going to
Well,
happen to those situations?
I think it's going to be a gigantic in a sad way, and I'm very sad about this. And I had a conversation with a major connected guy in the training industry like this morning.
Mm.
It is going to be it's going to be very newsworthy, and it's going to come out. I believe it is. I think all the things are in place for it to come out. And I think it's not going to be good for our business. And I think it is one of those things when I saw all this storm cloud forming a few years ago, you guys know I was very, very concerned about it.
Mhm.
And I am concerned about it. And I would just say the best we can be as leaders in this business, legitimate leaders in this business,
Mhm.
the best we can be as leaders in this business is people that do good, ethical, right size business that is good for all parties. And if we're buying a property, it's good for the guy selling. And if we're selling a property, it's the good that we're the guy that we're selling to and
Mhm.
them to experience home ownership. And the best we can do is what we need to do for the business. And I've been doing this for 45 years, guys. There's been all kind of hot shots come and go, all kind of flash in the pans come and go.
Mhm.
And it's going to be very newsworthy.
Yeah.
But I think there's some borrowers that are going to get the short end of the stick. In fact, I know it's been discussed. There's a high default rate on this paper right now. And I think people are figuring out, oh my goodness, they took over my mortgage and now they didn't pay and now I'm responsible for it. And
Mhm.
I'm just telling you, I am not any a part of teaching sub two or what they're doing. I just think it's a mess. And I wish they didn't teach it, but they did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well said.
I see. The first time I heard about it a couple of years ago, my immediate reaction is I can see this blowing up so badly, where things are going to go wrong so fast and so bad, and it's going to mess over a whole lot of people. So,
So when we teach a landlord that we're going to help him create a note, if there's any underlying mortgage, the first thing that we're going to do as part of that transaction is we're going to buy a piece of that note
mhm.
so that that underlying debt is paid off. We're buying first mortgages. We're not buying wraps.
Right.
And I would not, be I don't once again, Martha and I were in the business in the 80s, and a wrap note in the 80s there wasn't a due on sale clause.
Mm.
Mm.
So
Yeah, that's different.
that provision in the agreement that on the loans we were buying did not exist. They couldn't call the note.
Hmm.
Sure.
Just it was a different environment. Of course, they were in
Mhm.
horse and buggy days back then.
Dinosaur world, right? So let's get back to Note Expo because that's really why I'm energized by everything you shared. But the wrap note thing is something we want to make sure we talk about this on the show all the time. Give us some insight of what a first time note creator, note buyer, walks in Note Expo can expect this year. Where is it at? When's the date? What should they be doing? How should they be prepared? Make sure you bring business cards, people, right? That kind of stuff. Give us a lay down what that looks like.
So it will be Friday and Saturday. That's November 7th and 8th. It is at the Weston Galleria in Dallas. So that's on the north end of Dallas. Very nice area of town, very nice hotel. I think they need to come there Friday or excuse me, Thursday, and be ready, because we're going to start Friday morning, unless they happen to be just local. And we are going to start out with some inspiration. And we're going to start out with some clarity and vision in the business. And we've got some very interesting speakers. The theme of it is be the bank.
Mhm.
So what we're going to hear is we're going to hear the components of what it takes to be the bank, right? In other words, because when people get the clarity of it, and let me say the difference, what I think is a trade show and a class, right? A trade show is a vision. A class is all the how-tos,
Right.
right? This is like, you can't do, like, the first thing that you should do in anything in business is, first of all, get a vision. What is it? What's possible? What market void can we fill? Entrepreneurs solve problems, so find a market and figure out how you can fix it. And somebody's going to go in there, whether they're a beginner or they've done 10,000 notes, and they're going to go and sit down and say, I get the clarity of the market. Now I want to know what puzzle pieces I need to fill in my business to be able to take advantage of this, get on this train, ride this opportunity, right? And so I think that's what you're going to see speaker by speaker, is that we have laced up speakers, and some of them have a family story like Martha and my son would, right? Because Martha has done this, and now she's a generation down, where Wood is, getting in a position to go then step into that place. And they're going to talk about what Wood has done to get ready for this,
Oh,
and what steps that Martha and Wood see as critical. Now, let me tell you something. Wood's 31 years old at this point. He's a fireman and paramedic. It's like his day job is he's a fireman.
Mhm.
And I believe it's 100% his God's calling to go be that. So we're not asking him to give up being a fireman. But we're saying to you, his second job is doing this. And what is it he's done along the way that makes him today very confident to do it? But on the other hand, there's going to be people that talk about like how they've raised private money. Or there's going to be people that have talked about, different aspects of the business along the way. Listen, Kate Thompson's brilliant. Like, if
Mhm.
you've ever heard Kate speak, you don't need you do not need to be convinced. This guy is crazy smart, and he works with some crazy smart people. I just consider it a blessing that, that we've been friends, and but he's got a vision of how seller financing can be way bigger than what we've ever thought about it being in the past. Because the one thing the business has never really had is liquidity.
yes.
And liquidity will change any business. And so that is, and so now all of a sudden you think about it, the first thing that you guys want to know, you're note buyers, right?
Yeah.
How is there going to be more business?
Right.
20 million rent houses with unhappy landlords could mean a lot of business,
Yes.
right? That's inventory. Liquidity, once you're buying deals, how do you get some of your money back to go rebait your hook and to get it back in the water again, to go find the next deal, right?
Yeah.
So how do you go do that? Well, you go do that with efficiencies in the market.
Yeah.
So efficiency and inventory are the theme that drive how do you be the bank. Being the bank is the goal. It's
Mhm.
it's what drives the situation that allows you to be the bank. And that is what I think NoteExpo is about.
Wow. What a great why. What a great
Yeah, that's
why.
great.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
So
that's really great.
I agree with you guys. Every conference to go to, you got to go the night before. Get well rested. Get prepared. Be ready to go first thing in the morning. It's not something to be slunched out. You're there for business. Dress appropriately, right? Make sure you're dressed good. Go inside and sit and listen to every speaker. You're not there to hang out and socialize. You're there to actually network, but listen to the people who are smarter than you, share their knowledge with you, and
Mhm.
learn what's going on from those around you. And we always tell people when you go to these networking events and conferences and trade shows, sit with people you don't know. Sit with people you are
Yeah,
strangers. Don't sit with your friends and people you know. People
right.
are everyone's friendly. You learn so much from different people, and you don't know who you're sitting next to every time you sit down.
Exactly right.
Martha and I talk about it. We don't ever have lunch together at NoteExpo. And I'll if I'm in line, I look over there and Martha's at a table and I'm like, I bet you Martha doesn't actually know any of those people at that table.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
try to do the same thing,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? Because we are, we love our social friends. When we've been
Yeah.
in the business so long, a huge amount of our social friends are people in the industry, and you guys see that, right? And I know
Yes.
you're in the same situation.
Yeah.
But when you go there, you have the opportunity to network with other people. And I just will tell you this for me. Like I go to events a lot. I'm a speaker. I go to a lot of masterminds. I'm at events all the time. And I don't ever drive home from the airport or drive home from an event and go like, oh God, I wish I would have not done that. That was just the biggest waste of time. I don't do that. Now
Yeah.
there are events that may be that, and I try to select that up front. So you got to pick legitimate events with legitimate folks doing it. So let's say that there's some judgment involved here, right?
Yeah.
But beyond that, networking and that next idea. And I said, if I have a little thing that my marketing team has now coined, and it's something that I said at NoteExpo, I think like 8 years ago. But it says it only takes 5 minutes to come up with a good idea. You just never know which 5 minutes that'll be.
Mhm.
Yes.
And the
Mhm.
point is that the likelihood of that good idea has been fertilized with environment that you've been around.
Very well said.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've
That makes such a
Nathan and I
difference.
Nathan and I talk about this all the time. There's not one conference I've ever been to, no conference, that I've picked and been selective, where the money I spend, the time away from my family, that sucks. Spending the money and time away from the family is heartbreaking. But I've never regretted any moment or any dollar I spent at any conference, because that's truly how you grow. Learn
Yeah.
from experiences, learn from others, network, meet people. I've met some of the closest friends. Me and Nathan met years ago at no conference. We became close friends sitting next to each other on an airplane, right?
Mhm.
Because of that conference, we don't know if we would be close as we are today because of that. And it all happened from a conference. So, guys, I encourage you, if you haven't signed up yet, please slide over yourself over on your web browser, on your phone, on the podcast, whatever you're doing, and sign up. Get your hotel booking. Do yourself a favor, spend the money, go down, fly down there the night before, get a hotel room in the hotel if you can, because that's
Mhm.
where you really know, network and socialize. You may be up late talking, you may be up early talking, because that's the time to do it. To go there, spend the time, shake hands, get business cards from everyone, and always follow up. I don't know how many people don't follow up with the people they connect with.
Yeah.
So,
It
where's
only takes one thing.
It
one?
One thing.
does. Yeah.
One conversation with somebody new, a new meeting, somebody that you are already connected with, and you share an idea, or they share one with you, something from a speaker. Like there's so many opportunities to bring home one thing that can totally change everything. So well worth it.
No doubt.
So, guys, I appreciate the time you spent with us on this Friday afternoon, and your insight, your knowledge, and just the fact you care about people and the community and what you've done for the community and what you're going to be doing for the community, which is exciting for us. Um, I'm not sure how to do our final question, Nathan, because we've got to answer this
Yeah,
question. So I'm trying to
that's a good one.
reword this. So the final question I'll let you ask the question and see how they answer it. Let Martha answer.
Sure,
Let's see
yeah.
what's her
I'm
thought.
curious here.
Oh no.
So we usually try to get we try to have people on that are experts in whatever they're doing. People that can teach us things that we don't know. And you guys are prime examples of that. You've been around forever. You've been around, really pioneers in the business. So given what you've seen, given where you've been, what do you see coming up? What's your next, 12, 24-month predictions on the market, especially for notes in particular?
Well, for me, I just see this big change coming with the blockchain. It's
Hmm.
almost like I really have to get myself ready for that, accepting that it's totally different than what I've ever done. And who knows how much it's going to change our industry. And I think it's like Eddie said, it's like having the ability to have that liquidity to invest in a note, but you might not be able to buy the whole note, but you can go invest in, an interest in a note. That's kind of the concept, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or, and so that's, I think it's gonna change a lot. I don't know
Mhm.
how fast it's gonna come. I would just say that one thing that my dad was great at was accepting something that was gonna happen 20 years from now. He already knew
Mhm.
it's gonna happen and he already had acceptance of it. And so he knew to be that, like, that was the mindset that he had to have, to create income for the future, because that's where we're going to be. And that's how you have to be doing business. So
Yeah.
I think that's something for everybody to be thinking about, how it's
Oh.
going to change, and then how it's going to change the note industry also. And in the meantime, we're going to keep doing things the way we're doing.
Yeah.
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 That's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have. I'm excited. I got goosebumps still. You guys never disappoint. I've met some of my closest friends and closest colleagues in the space at your events, because they're top of the notch. They're just the best ever. Speakers, to the presentation, the way you run things. Um, it's awesome. So I'm thankful for you guys for what you've done in the industry and what you
Yeah.
continue to do. Um, with that said, we're going to let you go and enjoy this Friday afternoon. We will
Thank
be
you.
seeing you guys soon. Again, remember, guys, fly down the night before, NoteExpo.com, get on the website, book your tickets, book your hotel room, and get your tickets, your airline tickets to get down there. And make sure you let them know that you saw us on the show and that you're looking forward to learn more. But thank you
Awesome.
again, guys. We'll talk
Thanks so
soon.
much, guys.
Be
Thank
well.
you.